Welcome to the show. Tasmina and I are at Pinewood Studios, the iconic centre of the British film industry, where many a cinematic and television legend has been born.
And this sundial reflects the contribution to the film industry of a very special lady who helped give us some of the most unforgettable moments engraved into our childhood memories. Dee Anderson was the joint creator of the series Supercar, Fireball, XL5 and Thunderbirds, not to mention Space 1999, filmed on this very lot at Pinewood.
And today Taz and I have the pleasure of interviewing Sylvia's daughter Dee, and other showbiz legend, who together are not the Thunderbirds but the Wonderbirds, and they most certainly are go.
Hello! Hi guys! Lovely to see you guys.
The Wonderbirds and their brand new show Beauty Angels are composed of ladies of a certain wonderful vintage who've been wowing an ever-growing online audience over the course of successive lockdowns. Alex and I are in conversation with Dee Anderson, Linda Lusardi and Debbie Arnold. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thank you.
So here we are at Pinewood Studios. I'm sure all of you, given you are all showbiz royalty, must have done some work here in the past.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I remember it as a kid with my parents, obviously, shooting things like Space 1999 and a film called Doppelganger, which is still on the circuit. I don't know if you know that, Alex.
Doppelganger? No, I was in that, I think.
Yeah, you got a
I was
Doppelganger.
playing myself. One was bad, one was good.
That's life. So some things never change then.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I remember. And also, I did a film here called Murder Elite, on the back lot, where I was murdered very quickly in the film. So it was all over in about 2 minutes.
You're written out very awkward. What about yourself, Linda? You
I
must have done
have
some work.
filmed here, and my son's an actor, and he's been here for auditions when he was a kid. And I remember we went in the water tank because he had to do an underwater thing, and I was just blown away. Yeah.
Debbie, of course, where do I start with your accolades in terms of the number of programmes you have been in?
Oh yeah, but I worked here. I worked here the first time in the Pink Panther movies because they were shot here. So I had a tiny part in one of those. And the most exciting thing is it was the restaurant, because people used to have their own tables. So each film would have their own table. You used to walk in there and see the biggest stars in the world. It is the most fantastic place to work, and I love it. And I did make a film here a few years ago called Photo Shoot with John Altman. It's lovely to film here.
And did you fall over and get a bump in the head when you were doing the Pink Panther?
Oh, honestly, one of the scenes that Peter Sellers had to do is that he had to talk to somebody, and I had to come between them, and he put an ice cream in my face. That's what happened. And they must have shot it 5,000 times. It was so fun. At the last, I just couldn't speak because every time, because they were just talking to each other, and I don't even know if it got in the film. I don't even know if it was in the film.
With free ice cream and you're still complaining. Good God.
Well, obviously, it's great times you've had at Pinewood, but I'm very interested as we came in today to film to see that they're enforcing masks, and that's all very, very big here, obviously protecting everybody who's on set in the various different lots. But, you know, in lockdown, you ladies have come up with some wonderful ideas to keep us entertained, and it has been a difficult time for everyone and continues to be so. But a move from TV into online sort of filming. Let's start first of all to talk about the Wonderbirds, because Linda, your association with Debbie and Dee started from being a guest on the Wonderbirds. So let's start with Debbie and Dee, a bit about how the Wonderbirds came about and how you then, did you know Linda before? Was Linda just a guest, and then from there you developed into your new show?
Well, Debbie actually came up with the idea of Wonderbirds, and it was 4 mates on a Zoom call, and it was so hilarious the night before lockdown that we all thought, we've got to share this with the world. And then like 14 or 15 million hits later, it's amazing how it's actually just taken off.
And Linda was a very, very good friend of mine anyway, but I really wanted to talk to her about her COVID experience because sadly Linda had COVID. And so that's how she came on the show. I'll let you take that from there.
Oh no, so they interviewed me about how I was getting on, and then they said, come back and let us know how you're getting on later on. And I kept coming back. And then, I don't know, people were sort of asking about beauty tips and things. So Debbie said, why don't you put together like Linda's bargain bucket? And so I was looking at products and things that were out.
Not
that people
saying she's the bargain bucket.
Well, I'm a bit of a bargain bucket girl. I do love a
bargain.
I do love a bargain. And so I was putting together sort of packages of maybe 5 products each week. and going on the show. And then from that, Debbie said we should do a show on our own.
Yeah.
You know, a beauty show.
I was watching an episode of Beauty Angels, as you do, off an evening.
Alec, one's coming out soon, which is just for men.
Oh yeah, then tomorrow.
Well, I might watch that one.
Is there a bargain bucket for that as well? Because we'll be up for that.
No, but I'll stop. You were busy zapping imperfections with laser treatment, and I was struck by just how frank it was. You know, the no holds barred. Let's put
Well,
it
there's
that
no
way.
point in doing a beauty show if we sit there going, oh, this is all perfectly natural, you know. Not that I've had any sort of major invasive stuff done, but I didn't realise that, you know, as you get older, ladies get brown spots, you know, age spots, or liver spots they're sometimes called, and honestly, you can get rid of them in seconds. You just have them lasered, they dry up and come off.
Well, what do you think that, you know, you've been in show business for a long time, all of you, real veterans and, you know, people we look up to.
All right.
I don't think it's merely alluding to your vast experience and how that helps other people, you know, by the work that you're doing. I mean, the beauty stuff, do you think it's easier? There's a lot of pressure on young people now, you know. My mum was in show business. You all have families in show business. We'll come on to that later because I'm interested to talk about your offspring. But do you think it's easier as you get older to feel less pressurised by how you look and be more honest about what you do?
I think
to
you're
make
still
yourself
as
look the way you do?
pressurised.
Yeah.
I don't think that goes. But the fact is, you know, you can't look at somebody who at 60 looks better than they did when they were 20 and think that they've had nothing done. And I think, you know, everybody, even if you've had your teeth done or you've had, you know, little bits and pieces, you know, you dye your hair, you wear makeup. That's doing stuff.
But there's so many treatments you can have done that, you know, like we've been having them, haven't we? Hydrofacials and Saluma, like light therapies and things that, you know, are really quite pleasurable to have done, not invasive, and they really, really help your skin.
And oil therapy, and then men have these treatments as well, Alec. You know, they really do.
Do you find then Beauty Angels has, I mean, it's new, it started in April, it's just a few months young. Do you find that's now making it more accessible? You know, because where do we go to get our information? And I often find people like to get information from those who are experienced, who they trust, and who are quite happy to say, I've had this done and it really works for me. Do you think that that's part of the success of what you've done so far?
Yeah, definitely. And I also think that online now is the future. I think, you know, we're going to be looking at YouTube, Facebook, just to get references and to sort of ask for information, a bit like Google. So I think this is brilliant that it's actually suddenly taken off, and a great surprise and a wonderful surprise for us.
And will it become the sort of staple diet of actors? I mean, you know, obviously your family's been associated with some of the greatest television series of all time, and obviously Linda and Debbie, you've been in just about every soap there is to watch. But you think we're moving into an age where, you know, soap operas must have been the meat and drink to so many actors in this country, but we're now moving to an age where it's going to be online shows is going to be the staple thing you do, and you might do the occasional film.
I think the nice thing about online is that we are able to control it. We a bit like the pioneers when they first came into the film industry. You know, you could just make a film, couldn't you? And it would just be shown. And I think now we're kind of pioneering, especially for our age group. We are now the pioneers of you know, online shows for our age group because nobody else has done it.
We get the questions from the public, so we're answering the things that they want to know. So the women are coming through saying, I've got rosacea, or, you know, different things wrong, or baggy eyes, or rosacea. I always say that wrong, don't I?
Rosacea.
And so we're addressing the things that they're worried about, you know, so we're directly answering the public's questions, which is fantastic.
And let's come back to COVID, Linda, because you obviously had a terrible experience with it. Tell us about, first of all, Linda, as we're living through this nightmare and we're all double jabbed and feeling double jagged, we say in Scotland, and feeling all the better for it. You know, how was the experience for you?
An absolute nightmare for the whole family, really. Both of my husband and I ended up in hospital. I was on full oxygen for 10 days and wasn't sure if I was going to make it. You know, I had a wonderful young doctor that sort of said, at your age, I can't promise you anything. We don't know what we're dealing with. So, you know, sort of say your goodbyes. So it was like, it was very, very scary. But I try not to think about it.
You should have known you wouldn't settle for just one stage call at the end.
No, absolutely. Encore. So anyway, I've sort of put it where it belongs 18 months ago, that's gone past, and we're moving on.
And of course, you've used the time all over in your programmes, as in COVID, to engage with people. Now, you've moved also from Wonderbirds, it was online extravaganza, now to your stage show. You had a performance, and what was that like being in
You
front
were supposed
of
to be
people?
there, but you couldn't get there.
I know.
We were on the M6.
Well, the Wonderbirds Live was very interesting as well. I mean, you know, it was fantastic to have a live audience. It was a completely different sort of show. And we had all the bad boys of soap that came on with us. So we had Conor McIntyre, John Altman and Brian Capron. And it was brilliant. And it made me think, wow, how far we've come. You know, we'd started this from a Zoom call.
Actually, and how was the stage performance? How was it? What was it
Loved
like?
it. Absolutely loved it.
Sitting in front of people.
It was
human
fantastic.
beings.
Oh, it was amazing, and you know, a live audience, incredible. And Gok Kwan came on with us, and we asked him questions. It was fantastic.
So, I mean, you've done so many things in showbiz, all three of you. But I mean, is there a preference? I mean, is it really the live audiences you love, or does everything have its own advantages and disadvantages? You first, Steve.
Yes, I think so. I think live is fantastic because, as we said, you know, it's the connection with the audience, and you get the feedback straight away, and it's the buzz of actually going on stage, and it's scary and exciting and wonderful, but filming too has got its amazing sort of. It's just there. It's immediate and really, it you know, you can get into the characters. I love the buzz of the crew, a bit like today. You know, it's fantastic. So yeah, I love it all.
And so, Linda, is it back to Panto this season?
I am going back to Panto after 2 years off the stage. It's a bit scary, but it was cancelled last year. Yeah, I'm in Whitley Bay in Snow White. My daughter's playing Snow White, and I'm Wicked Queen.
Yes, you have quite a reputation for the Wicked Queen, if I remember. And
I have played it more than any other part, and I can't understand why.
And Debbie, of course, you've been some amazing theatrical productions. I remember starring Omar Sharif.
Yes.
I remember. So is it? Well, what's your favourite? I mean, do you like the stage? Or
Yeah, I do love the stage, but I like filming and I like TV. I like them all. I think what I miss, though, are TV sitcoms where you had a bit of everything, because you filmed in front of live audiences. And so, you know, you'd rehearse it for a week and then a live audience would come in, and those were the days. So you had a bit of everything in that. So you have your live performance, you know, you have your rehearsal, and you have your, you know, so it
The
kind
immediate
of,
audience that's there.
it ticked every box, and then you could see it afterwards. Whereas the thing about doing live theatre, as much as you love, and I do love it, it's just afterwards you can never see yourself. You don't really know what you've done, so you just have to kind of go on audience reaction.
Join us after the break, where we'll continue our discussion with Debbie, Dee and Linda and women in show business. We'll see you then.
Welcome back. Taz and I are at Pinewood Studios, just outside London, where we're interviewing some very special ladies, the online sensations of the Wonderbirds and Beauty Angels.
So welcome back, Debbie, Linda and Dee. Now, before the break, we were talking about women in show business and the takeover online in terms of TV now in the COVID sort of lockdowns that we've been through. What's it like? Do you not think it's easier when you're doing your own show? Nobody telling you what to do when it's online, complete autonomy. As women in show business, is there not a certain oomph you get from that?
Yeah, definitely. I think actually it's been a real revelation for us to launch something. As you say, nobody's actually telling you what to do or what to say. We have the freedom online as well to say exactly what we want. It's been a wonderful experience all around. So yeah, I would say as women, it's been very empowering.
Can I just say, women are so good at recognising each other. It's a perfect example in front of us, and appreciating each other and what they have to offer. Do you get the same from men in show business? Dee, I mean, your mum and dad, of course, the creators of
Right.
so many things. Who got the fame out of it all?
Oh, my dad, definitely. My mother was actually the creative entity. She was the one who came up with all the storylines. She built the characters, she created all the characters, and she wrote most of the scripts. And yet my father actually got all the credit, which isn't fair, is it? So now, you know, people do say to me about, oh, it's great, you know, that to meet your dad and to know your dad. But actually, it was my mum who did everything. And in those days, it was always the guy that
Yeah.
got his name above the title. And it hasn't changed that much, really. And it's only people like yourself, Alex, who, you know, you really support women. Of course, Taz, it goes without saying. But, you know, and it has been difficult for us. And I think we should do more to get, you know, women centre stage in the industry.
And do you think the online world is less sexist, male dominated?
Well, I guess because we have more freedom, but that's a very good question because I don't know. I think, you know, a lot of people in the social media gurus are male, but I do think that a lot of females are coming up now. And I think, you know, as we've launched, as Debbie said, you know, we're launching this show, we've captured this audience, we've captured a female audience. And I think it's the first time it's been harnessed in this way. So I think that's revolutionary in itself.
And especially for the age demographic that we're looking at as well. There's not a lot of stuff out there for over 40s.
No, and
women.
I think the thing is that what's so weird about this is that, you know, they say the grey pound, which I think is a disgusting thing to say, but we are looking at a demographic of women who are sort of over 50 who've got money to spend,
and they're overlooked.
Yeah,
Aren't
they are
most of
overlooked
them?
by
Yeah.
television companies as well. With the commercials that they make are all for younger people. This is how they get everything done. Also in all the soaps, all the TV things are they're younger people. So what are we as older people? What are we supposed to look at on the TV? So it's really ridiculous by what's happened. And then you get things that are made by younger people about older people, and they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're running around an old
Well, we
age
know
home.
when they're casting and they say we need a 60-year-old old woman,
Yeah.
and we go up for it, they go,
What are you doing?
no,
here?
no,
What are you doing here?
no, you don't look like a 60-year-old. Yes, no, but we do look like
Exactly.
a 60-year-olds look now.
But
Colours.
that's the whole point. You know, people are ageless, aren't they? You don't walk down the street with a thing over your head saying, I am this age, do you? So when somebody sees you and engages with you, you are who you are. Now, you know, I was once in 1 week, I got a part for a 60-year-old, I got a part for a 35-year-old, and I got a part for a 50-year-old. 3 different parts I went up for, and they were all different ages.
Why are then the television channels missing out on this age group? You've got an active, you've identified it. You obviously now need to commercialise that to make money. I mean, this is the question. Are you making money out of what you're doing? Or is that the next stage to come?
That's the next stage.
Yeah.
It's all at the moment. It's exactly how the television industry started. It's exactly how the film industry started at the beginning, where people just did their own things,
Yep.
and slowly but surely.
But I
people
do
got
think
on
the
board.
Slowly it's
industry is
building, it's
changing.
building, yeah.
Because we interviewed, it was Sheila, what was her name?
Sheila MacLeod.
MacLeod.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, she's a wonderful female director, actress. And she was saying that things are moving, and some of the TV programmes are using older women, older actresses now. I do think there is a new movement out there.
But women in beauty, it's not just women in beauty, men are very interested
Well,
in
we've just
beauty now.
finished
Yes.
editing the men's show, which goes out tomorrow, I think. And, you know, we've got men having all sorts of treatment, and we've got a plastic surgeon saying more men are coming in now. We've got the clinics, the cosmetic skin clinics saying about more men coming in.
But it's really funny because you know, I'm single at the moment, and I met a man the other night, and all I thought when I was looking at him was, oh, he needs his eyes doing, and he should, you know, what's happened to me? He needs his eyes doing. Oh, perhaps he could have a little bit of a lift here. And I thought, well, now years ago, you would never think like that.
But of course, I mean, we're talking about eye. I mean, I'm now looking into the eyes of Lady Penelope, am I not?
Yes. Well, yes, the inspiration
Tell us
for...
about that.
Well, because my mum created the character, which is actually the doll, or puppet, as people say, she was actually looking at different face shapes. And she said to me that as a kid, she said that I had, you know, huge eyes and a certain shape. So she modelled the eyes of Lady Penelope on my eyes.
Something like insured or something.
I know I shouldn't.
Well, they're beautiful. And is there, however, a huge pressure on younger women, in particular, and men, coming into show business to look good all of the time? You're constantly on Instagram, on social media. You can't even go out to buy a pint of milk without being photographed. Is the pressure greater now than it was before?
I think it is because, and I don't think it's anything to do with showbiz. I just think young girls, young fellas, like you say with the Instagram, they're constantly looking at perfect images. But they can find out what there is to have done. They can find out what treatments there are and creams and things, not just through shows like ours, but it's all there at, you know, touch of a button. So I know my daughter's 24 and she edits Beauty Angels, and she puts up with us all, doesn't she? And she sits us there on the Zoom calls, tells us what to do, and then she cuts the programme together. But she is a singer, and she was on The Voice, she was on Team Tom. But she's very aware of like her skin, especially her skincare. And she's always trying different products and different things and reviewing them, and so I just think that girls are very interested in beauty now. And you see all the girls on Love Island, they all wear so much makeup, and so they're very aware, much more aware than when I was 24.
And Debbie, your beautiful daughters are both active as well, show business and charity work, I should add too.
Yeah, this is interesting because I was always brought up with a very beautiful mother, and I wasn't beautiful at all I was a big sort of fat child and everything else, so I always had her to look up to, but she never ever said to me, you've got to lose weight. Never gave me any pressure. So naturally, as I just grew up, I just sort of got slimmer and started to obviously copy what she did and makeup and stuff. But my eldest daughter was in Hollyoaks for quite a long time, and that's when the pressure started on her, because you're in a series like that and you have to look good. And now with all of the social media, I mean, these girls are constantly looking at themselves all the time. They're on cameras all the time. I mean, it's terrifying. And if you don't have a filter on your face, you don't really know what you look like. So that everything's filtered, everything's slimmed out, and then if you see yourself in real life, it must be a real shock. So that's what worries me about the girls of today. I mean, Talia is also a singer. She sings and she does lots of different things. Charity. They both do charity work and stuff like that. But I feel the pressure on them is really, really immense.
And mental health, of course, has become a huge issue. Always has been. Perhaps we're more aware of it. In the TV world, there may be some to a certain extent. But what about online? What support is there for people who are exposed?
Well, I don't know, and I don't know where it's going to end. I mean, this is the problem. And I know we're not talking about sex, but we can talk about sex. I'm thinking as well that how people grow up finding out about sex is just ridiculous, because it's not how it really is.
No.
It has to. People have forgotten what it's like to just
interact in a pub
to be normal. And I think this is what worries me. Except with my kids, they kind of don't feel like that. When I talk to them about things that worry me, they're fine about it. They say, they're probably more used. They've been brought up with online stuff, and I suppose we haven't. So we find it, possibly it's our generation that finds it a bit more frightening.
If you were to weigh up on-screen time, for instance, or the enormity of their character, I mean, I know we have no idea whether men are paid as much as women. I don't think you have access even to that information.
We've got some indication from the revelations about the BBC salaries. And that set off a series of detonations, as some of the most prominent women presenters on television suddenly realised that Gary Lineker was earning more than the rest of them put together.
But also it's down to what your agent negotiates. I mean, I've been on jobs where there have been 5 girls and we're all being paid different depending on how much your agent's asked for. So it's having...
Good agent.
Yes, I have actually.
But I do think that's right, Taz. I think, because I was reading actually recently about Grey's Anatomy, the lady... Ellen Pompey, who is, been playing the lead, and she was saying that she was getting less than the male leads, and they wouldn't fight it with her. But they fought it now, obviously. But I think that happens a lot.
It's just so wrong, though, isn't it?
And that's what happened. I mean, when Friends made history.
Yeah.
What happened with Friends when they renegotiated, when their contracts came up for renegotiation, they all said they all wanted to be paid the same. And it made history because none of them, they didn't want they told their agents, this is what we want per episode. We all want the same money. We don't want it to be any different.
What advice, if I was to ask you to give a single piece of advice to young women watching the show who are trying to embark upon a show business career, who are perhaps in show business, as to what the future might hold for them in?
I think it's really important to have self-belief, believe in yourself and be yourself. Because you have so much peer pressure, as we've said, to be somebody else or to look like something else, or just be yourself and be true to yourself. I think that's the best advice.
My advice would be have a plan B.
And my advice
and
would
get some education, because it's so difficult
in Scottish
in
politics.
this business.
That's something I advised as well. But
my advice would not be that. because I believe that you should always, this is what you want to do, that's what you have to do. If that is what you really want to do, because you've got to have a very thick skin and you've got to go for it. And if I had a plan B, I wouldn't have done it. So I think, I think it's possibly different today, but I don't have the same. But the other thing is, and I was given this advice many, many years ago, if you don't get a part, it's not because you're not good enough, it's because you're not right. And that really, really, really helps,
And what's next? What's next for the Wonderbirds and Beauty Angels? You start then.
Well, who knows is the answer. There could be another show making itself happen right now. It'll probably be Lucy and Talia and Kira that will have a baby Wonderbirds. But at the moment, we're just sort of keeping on these things. We've got, Dee and I have got plans for other things coming up as well. We've got a couple of movie ideas. Of course, we had to get there. But I think, Wonderbirds and Beauty Angels, they're going to keep on going and keep on building. And we're very, very proud of what we've achieved. So we're just going to keep on working, except we're having a break in the summer.
Absolutely.
And Linda?
Well, it's just to find some more free treatments I can have.
It's wonderful selling things because you get so much for free.
I think it's
Try it.
Debbie said, I think
demonstrate it, don't I? So.
just keep going, keep building, and have fun. That's the main thing. I think we've just got to have a great time and have a ball and enjoy ourselves.
That sounds like good advice, Tav.
And we'd love to have you back on to follow what you're doing in the future.
you.
And thank you so much for your wise words.
And thank you.
wonderful
You've
time.
always been
Yes.
incredibly supportive of us, all of us, of
Thank you
myself,
so much.
of the
Amazing.
shows, of everything that I've done. So we'd like to thank you because we love you. We love you.
We love
We
both
watch
of
the
you.
shows.
Debbie Arnold, Linda Lusardi, Dee Anderson, thank you so much for joining us on the
Thank
Alex
you.
Salmond
Thank
Show.
you.
And from all of us here at Pinewood, it's goodbye, stay safe, and we'll see you all again, perhaps from not such a glamorous location, but next week.